mentioned just coming out the break, there's a bit of controversy this evening. So in his column in The Sun today, Kris Boyd said, this was part of it: look at Celtic. Callum McGregor played with a fractured cheekbone. The fact he managed to get through the 90 minutes without anyone testing out that face mask is another story. But his commitment to the team was tremendous. So you can read that as a compliment to him. But he is saying, that nobody really gave him a dunt. The latest news on that from Celtic, the official Twitter, is that with regards to comments made by former footballer Kris Boyd concerning Callum McGregor's injury, we can confirm that the matter is currently being addressed by the club. Davy, as a Celtic great player of the past, how do you take Kris Boyd's comments?
All I would say, Paul, is if certainly in my day, if we're playing Rangers and a Rangers player is wearing a mask and obviously has an injury, you would be saying, don't be walking on eggshells around him. Don't be doing him any favours. Don't be standing off him because he's wearing a mask and he's got an injury. You get a chance, you go and physically compete with him.
Mm-hmm. Barry?
Yeah, I reading it, I don't think Boydie means it in a bad way, if I'm being honest with you. I think Davey summed it up perfectly there. Obviously playing with a mask on, hit a couple of fractures. Listen, fair play to him.
Yeah.
That takes, I don't know the word I'm looking for.
But you'd be showing them in the Rangers dressing room saying, this is what the Celtic captain did
No, but
today.
in terms of Callum McGregor playing with that,
yep.
I mean, he's going to be heading balls. He's going to be. I fractured myself. I fractured an eye socket. I know how sore it is. So for him to play with 2 fractures, that just shows real commitment for me. But in terms of Boydie's comments, I don't think he's mean it. I don't think there's any malice in it, if I'm being honest with you. I understand where he's coming from, and I think, as I said, Davey summed it up perfectly there.
I think what he's done is absolutely ridiculous in what he's actually said.
Right, so here is what he said, Kris Boyd, in The Sun today. He said, look at Callum McGregor. He played with a fractured cheekbone. So that's a compliment. The fact he managed to get through the 90 minutes without anyone testing out that face mask is another story. But his commitment to the team was tremendous. So, and Celtic, if you're just tuning in, have said this in the last hour: with regards to comments made by Kris Boyd concerning Callum McGregor's injury, we can confirm that the matter is currently being addressed by the club. Barry, Paul is asking you, what do you feel?
Yeah, I don't think there's any malice. I said that earlier on in his comments. I don't think he's meaning that he wanted a Rangers player to go and hurt Callum McGregor. And I was similar when we played Celtic a couple of weeks ago. There was a couple of mistimed tackles, no doubt about it. But I just wanted my team to be physical against Celtic, in terms of, because if you're not physical against Celtic, they'll absolute batter you. That was my reasons. And the same with Boydie. I know Boydie, I know him inside out, and he won't mean it in a way that he wanted Callum McGregor to be hurt. Because listen, he's commented on how well Callum McGregor actually done. Fair play to Callum McGregor. 2 fractures, playing with a mask, and for me, he performed as he's always done for Celtic.
That's a thorny one. There's 2 sides to it, Barry, though. He loves a wind-up, Kris Boyd. Has he gone too far? Because he's insinuating they didn't have a go at a player in a mask with a broken cheekbone.
No.
Paul?
David, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I explained myself earlier in the programme. What I would say is that if in my time, if it was an Old Firm game and there was a Rangers player who was playing with a mask, we would certainly be... There is no way we'd be treating him any differently. We'd be making sure that he knew we weren't going to do him any favours because he had a mask on. And you would want to put a physical pressure on him. You want to take advantage of any possible weakness in an Old Firm game. Having said that, I would certainly not want to see anybody suggesting that somebody should have come and smashed Callum McGregor, for example, or try to hurt him or make the injury any worse. I certainly would not condone that.
And that's where I'm coming from. I don't think Kris Boyd's wanting him to go and hurt Callum McGregor.
But why come out with a statement like that, bit, man? I know he likes to wind up and he likes to line with Big John and all the rest of it, but that was bang out of order.
Bang out of order. Paul, Barry, do you want to come back to him on that? You're both saying roughly the same thing. You didn't want somebody to come in and smash Callum McGregor's face, his injury. You're not saying that, Barry? Yeah, during the game. Yeah,
against Alloa.
No, during this game, during the game the other night.
No, you, of course you don't want to. You don't go out and try and hurt a fellow professional.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Kris Boyd.
I'll sell it fart man for life, because I think it's absolutely shocking for anybody with punditry, regardlessly, actually. But even sort of stipulating something like that is honestly shocking, Barry. I'm disgusted with it.
Well, everyone's entitled to an opinion. I have to say that, you know him, Barry, better than I do.
Yep.
And listen, we say we want
and I know
a free
he
press.
winds up every now and then.
He does.
Listen, I've got no issue with that.
Yep, sure.
But I'm 100% convinced that he didn't mean any badness in that comment.
I mean, I sort of make. I love loads of wind-ups and all the rest of it. I'm one of the biggest wind-up merchants you'll actually get. But there's a certain point where you cross a line, and he has certainly crossed that line.
But I think you'll listen to that and probably take that on board. Paul, you know what I hate? I hate when clubs ban people, and I've seen it over the years. And you know, that's not the way to go forward. Football clubs should be bigger than it. We're in a democracy. Now, Kris Boyd can reflect on those comments. I think that's what I feel. Kris, reflect on your comments. But to ban him, you know, if everyone was the same, it would be boring. He is one of these characters, and I get it that Celtic fans will feel, and everyone respects Callum McGregor's safety. But so I don't have the answer, but the answer is not the football clubs banning the media. I don't think it is, Paul, and I'd ask you to reflect on that in the same way that Kris Boyd should reflect on what he said.
Well, look at the time sort of across the Clyde, where they sort of like banned like the Daily Record and all the rest of it.
Well, there's no need for that. I mean, we're living in an age just now where right at the top of the clubs there are things like that going on, and I don't know why. We need a freedom. We need a press. We don't need Pravda coming out of Kerrydale Street or Edmundston. We don't need it. We should value a free press. That means that people say things that you can't say on a club TV or whatever. And club TV and all this has got much better than it used to be. But they're paying the wages. They're not paying the wages of Kris Boyd today. They're not paying the wages of any of us here, Paul. And I would say that to reflect on that. What's that?
Even the chap rapper that actually sort of printed it. Why did he allow that print to sort of go first? That's got to be read by editor, and he's accepted that as well. He's let that go.
Well, we're not going to agree with you. I think, you know, just call it.
I mean, listen. I would certainly hope Kris Boyd, as I said earlier, is not suggesting that somebody should have gone and smashed Callum McGregor and made his injury worse. And I think Kris will probably expand on what he meant by that. But in terms of going and competing, maybe he feels that Rangers sat off Callum McGregor too much and should have been more physical. I don't know. It would be up to Kris to explain. But I don't think for a minute he's wanting somebody to go and smash Callum McGregor.
He did, because Callum McGregor played with his pipe and slippers on, didn't he? During the game.
He did.
Tell Alexa to launch Go Radio or listen on the Go Radio app.